Up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. Happy Friday to all out there. I want to kick off today's show with some highlighting of the schedule release. The Bulls 2025-26 regular season schedule is now out. Let's go over some of the key dates in the home schedule and the road slate for this team this upcoming season. Chicago begins the season at the United Center with the C-Rad home opener in a Central Division matchup against the Detroit Pistons. They will play Cade Cunningham and co. on October 22nd. That'll be followed by a trip to the Orlando Magic on October 25th for the team's first road game of the year. I know I talked yesterday about the NBA Cup slate opening, and here's some regular season matchups for y'all. The Bulls then return to Chicago for a 3-game homestand between October 27th and the 31st, highlighted by Chicago's opening game of the Emirates Cup, which I talked about, on Halloween night against Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and the New York Knicks there. That'll be an exciting contest to kick off the NBA Cup schedule. Chicago's home game highlights during the 25-26 season include a game against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs on November 10th and a cup game again versus the Miami Heat on November 21st, which I touched upon yesterday. December, switching over months here, that home slate features matchups against the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the Pacers, on December 5th, a bout with Stephen Curry and Warriors on December 7th. That'll bring out a ton of fans. Exciting one. And a game against Cleveland's trio of Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland on December 17th. The Bulls close December and welcome in the new year with a 6-game homestand between December 26th and January 3rd. That's exciting. The Bulls will be home over the holiday. That'll certainly pack the United Center. This stretch features matchups with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks on December 27th and the Minnesota Timberwolves along with Anthony Edwards on December 29th there. Chicago will close this 6-game stretch at the United Center with a New Year's Eve contest versus Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans on New Year's Eve there, followed by a home back-to-back against Orlando on January 2nd and the Charlotte Hornets on January 3rd. The Bulls will play 13 back-to-backs during the 25-26 campaign. The Dallas Mavericks and its trio of Anthony Davis, Kyrie, and the 2025 number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, come to town on January 10th. That'll certainly draw a lot of fans. That's an exciting one. One I'm certainly excited to see that Dallas team come to Chicago, followed by late January bouts with the Clippers on January 20th and the Celtics on January 24th. Kind of looking forward in the ensuing week, Chicago will host the Lakers and the duo of LeBron James and Luka Doncic on January 26th. That'll certainly be an exciting contest, one that'll draw a ton of fans here in Chicago. And then one that is always popular as well, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets visit the United Center on February 7th, while the reigning NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder arrive here in Chicago for a March 3rd matchup with the Bulls. That'll certainly be an exciting one. Having the reigning champs come to town for a matchup is always a big deal. On March 23rd, the Bulls will suit up against the Houston Rockets and the newly acquired 15-time All-Star Kevin Durant to close March's home slate there. Looking at the other side of things, the Bulls' road schedule is highlighted by 6 road trips of at least 3 games, including a 5-game West Coast swing in 9 days, beginning March 5th and going until March 13th there. So they'll have that West Coast trip in the beginning of March. This 5-game road trip features matchups with the Suns on March 5th, the Sacramento Kings on March 8th, Golden State on March 10th, the Lakers on March 12th, and finally rounding it out against the Clippers on March 13th. The Bulls will play on the road in 8 of its last 11 games to close the 25-26 campaign. I think that's a challenging way to end the year, finishing on the road there, depending on where they are in the standings, including a visit to Oklahoma City on March 27th, Memphis on March 28th, San Antonio on March 30th, New York on April 3rd, and then the season finale is going to be in Dallas on April 12th. Now, a lot of those games towards the very back end of the schedule, you may not see a ton of starters. A lot of things are locked up by that point in April, right before the play-in tournament kicks off there. The Bulls are slated to play 3 nationally televised games during this upcoming campaign in 25-26. at Orlando on December 1st. That'll be broadcast on Peacock. At the Brooklyn Nets on January 16th. That'll be on the national TV on ESPN. And then at Toronto on February 5th. That'll actually be broadcast on Amazon Prime there. So some exciting news there with the schedule coming out. A lot of people get their planning done in terms of which games they want to go to. I certainly have a few matchups circled with big-time players coming to Chicago. It's going to be a great year. With that, I want to revisit the Bulls win total. Just want to get your guys' take. It still sits at 32.5. Given some of those matchups, and now that the schedule is officially out, do you think the Bulls will go over or under that win total of 32.5? Let me know in the comments. This is the way I want to get you guys engaged, and let me know your predictions for this upcoming season. I'd be curious to know. I personally, like I've said a few times before, but I think the Bulls will go over that mark of 32.5 wins, especially if Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, and Josh Giddey all get locked up for this upcoming season. I expect that to be the case. I think Josh Giddey will ultimately be back, even if it's on a qualifying offer. I'll get to him shortly here. But this Bulls team definitely has what it takes to win somewhere above 32 games there. So switching gears to a guy I've talked about a ton, and he continues to be a big story in Chicago because the deal's not done. Predicting the three most likely outcomes for this guy and Josh Giddey. I want to go over the first one, the first of which is expected to happen is that he signs an offer sheet with someone other than the Bulls. That's an opportunity that he could look at. As of this show today, the Brooklyn Nets are the only team in the league with any cap space, and they can't even get close to the $30 million per year that Giddey reportedly wants. And I know I've talked about Brooklyn. There's also no hint that Brooklyn, which just locked up ton of young playmakers in the draft, has any interest in Josh Giddey. That means if Giddey wants to get the sign and offer sheet and see if Chicago matches it, thing done and go that route, he's likely limited to a handful of teams that still have access to the non-taxpayers mid-level exception there. Those contracts, though, would start at $14.1 million, which is well shy of the average annual value of a 4-year, $80 million offer that the Bulls reportedly made at the start of free agency, $20 million a year. So that's even going to come up short. So if Giddey did sign one, Chicago refusing to match it would truly be shocking to me. I think if he does end up going that route, the Bulls will jump and match that. It's a game we've been playing all off season here, kind of waiting to see who's going to make the first move. The second option for Giddey here is that it's a sign and trade opportunity to an Eastern Conference rival. Talked about this last week in a few other of my shows. Giddey has managed to attract some external interest from rival teams since free agency began, with multiple Eastern Conference teams contacting Giddey's representation to register sign and trade interest there. So that's an opportunity, one I don't think is likely, like I've talked about, but that's one that could happen there. We'll have to see. Anything goes at this point. And then finally, the most likely outcome is that he re-signs with the Bulls. I fully do expect this. I know I've reiterated that and sound like a broken record, but it's something I have to monitor until this deal gets done with the Bulls. The final deal may not be for 4 years or an average of $20 million, but it feels like the eventual outcome of this saga is Giddey's return to Chicago, perhaps threatening to play on that qualifying offer could force the Bulls to mold the deal a bit more to his liking. That could mean a bit more money each year or a shorter-term deal that gets him back into free agency sooner. Something I thought was definitely a plausible opportunity is that like a 3-year deal for $30 million or so, or something of that magnitude, or for less money overall. But there's not a ton of leverage there, so the length and number probably won't be dramatically different than $80 million over 4 years, to be honest with you. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see a deal get done probably by the end of this month, is my guess, at the end of August, for something around that 4-year range and $80 million. I think he's just really pushing to try and see if the Bulls will break there. So finally, I want to wrap today's show up with some NBA news around the league. We had some very interesting and exciting news for a mega organization in sports, the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to unveil a Pat Riley statue on February 22nd. The Hall of Famer will join the likes of former team greats Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and the great Kobe Bryant in bronze outside their downtown arena. The Lakers will fittingly honor Riley against the Celtics, their long-term rivals. So that's kind of a cool touch there. Riley coached the Lakers from 81 to 90 during the team's Showtime era and won 4 NBA championships in 82, 85, 87, and 88. Truly a dominant run in the 80s by Pat Riley and that Lakers organization. The Lakers won at least 50 games in each of his 9 seasons as coach, and they won at least 60 games in 5 straight seasons. I mean, this guy is a true Hall of Famer, a heck of a coach throughout the years, and now playing the role of upper management with the Miami Heat. He was named NBA Coach of the Year with the Lakers in 89 and 90. He played for the Lakers as well from 70 to 75. So this guy has a rich history with that organization. Kind of was a big it played a big part in putting them on the map and making them the global phenomenon that they are today. And also, coaching with 2 other significant and major organizations in the NBA, the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. So that guy is going to be enshrined into Lakers history forever among some other greats there. Wanted to get that news across to you guys. We did have a free agent forward agreeing to a 1-year deal with a team I talked about the other day, being the Milwaukee Bucks there. He will, Amir Coffey, free agent forward, has agreed to a 1-year deal with Milwaukee. This is a team looking to add help, I think, going into this season and kind of trying to figure out who they are and what role they're going to play in the Eastern Conference. So the 28-year-old Coffey spent his first 6 seasons with the Clippers, where he signed a 2-way contract back when he started his career in LA. So wanted to wrap today's show up with that. Let me know what you guys think of the Bulls win total, what you think of this schedule, what your prediction is for Josh Giddey. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest, and we will see you guys next week.